You then moved on to another player, Andy Murray.
Yeah, incredible year. Again, I loved when he did things that he hadn't won before. Mm-hmm. Wimbledon is the number one event for sure, of course. But, I loved it when he won Italian Open, when he won the ATP finals at the end of the year, when he won Paris-Bercy Master Series, those things he hadn't won before.
Yeah. All right, welcome back to Beyond Tennis. This is a good one today. I've got my brother on, Johnny Delgado. So this could go one of two ways. Either a really good conversation or just a brotherly argument. Probably both. We're going to get into his journey through tennis, from playing on tour, coaching at the very top of the game, and what he's learned from being around some of the best in the world. And then, as always, we'll move away from tennis a bit and get into what he actually cares about off the court, which in his case is a lot of football and a bit of Real Madrid chat. So let's get into it. Jamie, welcome to Beyond Tennis.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Good. Have you been on many podcasts before?
Greg Rosetsky
yes, I saw that a few weeks ago.
Podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I think that's about it.
Yeah.
I've only done one of them.
Well, I had a number of people on social media getting in contact. So I said, who do they want on? And your name came up quite a lot. So let's get into it. Beyond tennis, we'll talk about your tennis career. So we're going to go through the fine-tooth comb all the way through your tennis playing days and into your coaching. And then we're going to move on to your beyond tennis loves. So we're going to start from the beginning. When did you start? When did a tennis racket get in your hand?
Tennis started when I was, I believe, 6 years old.
Yeah.
Back in Tenerife in the years that we were living there. Mum and Dad. Well, Dad started playing tennis round about the time that I was born, and he was playing for a few years. So by the time I got to 6 years old, he was, playing with his mates and stuff like that. And I used to go and watch or be next to the court and playing or whatever. And then one day I played after his mates had gone, and that was it really. And then I really loved it and was a bit of a pain to Dad, kind of always wanting to play again. And then I played the next week, and then I kind of remember the court that it was that I played in this hotel in Puerto de la Cruz where we lived.
Yeah. Well, what people might not know, you spent your first 10 years of your life living in Tenerife.
Yeah. So we lived there. Obviously, that's where our parents met.
Yeah.
And that's when my tennis journey started. Was there 6 till about 9, 10 years old when then we came across to England. But yeah, I loved it. It was a nice little club. It was only a 2-court club back then, and close to school, and yeah, I just remember playing every day. So that was, the first day was with Dad.
Yeah.
And then just loved it.
Yeah. And then there's quite a cool story of how we came to the UK. What was different from us, we were having our holidays in England and living in Spain. That's normally the other way around for other people. But on one of our holidays back in the UK, you were spotted.
Yeah, so we came back to see, grandparents then in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And yeah, that in the summertime, I mean, the reason for coming back was obviously not anything to do with England, but
Birmingham
just
holidays.
To see the family. And there used to be some good junior tournaments at that, in the summer months.
Yeah.
And I used to play, well, we used to play those, but obviously me, because of being the older one, first played those. And then it was a tournament in Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Where David Lloyd was there.
And you were 9 years old here, weren't you?
I'm 9 years old here, and playing doubles with a guy called Colin Bennett.
Yeah.
Who was from that area as well, and got on really well with him and played the junior doubles tournaments with him. And I think it was Colin's parents that asked David to come and see Colin play.
Right, okay.
I think.
Yeah.
And so obviously watching the match, I was playing with Colin, and David came up to my mum after the match and introduced himself and talked about this new tennis school that he's putting together,
which was the Slater squad.
Which was the Slater squad, which at the time, Tim Henman was already there.
Yeah.
Mark Moresso and David Loosemore were the 3 boys that were already there. And David was looking for more players to take on there. And yeah, he didn't offer me a spot on the, a place, on the spot there, but he did invite me to a trial to come down to London and meet the coaches. And that's what we did. I can't remember now, but a few weeks later went down to David Lloyd Heston.
Yes.
Where David was there and the coaches were there. They kind of all had played with me and then basically David offered me a spot to go to the like a sponsored school, which is at Reed School, and the Slater squad, which was at his clubs,
Yeah.
which was for me obviously an amazing opportunity, and we ended up taking that. Yeah.
So he was obviously setting up a kind of tennis school for potential Wimbledon champions, is what he was trying to build, wasn't he, at the time?
Yeah, he was. I mean, his dream was to produce a Wimbledon champion.
Yeah.
That was his goal. And, you know, with Tim, obviously he came pretty close to that. In Tim, I think, makes 4 semi-finals.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, really, because he picked 10 boys at the time.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, to be a Wimbledon champion is a ridiculous achievement, isn't it? So he got pretty close.
Got pretty close.
Yeah.
So that would have been, I would have been very young, but that was a big change for the families moving from Tenerife to the UK. Talk to me a little bit about the kind of the start of your schooling days there, and what did your training look like as a 10-year-old at this new academy?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I loved it.
Yeah.
You know, it was a boarding school.
Yeah.
It was
Reed School.
Yeah, it was an all-boys school. I think there was a few girls in sixth form maybe when I was there, but literally less than a handful of girls in the whole school. So you know, that was fun being in a boarding school, because you got to have fun in the evenings and get to know, you know, really integrate into the school. It was I loved it. But yeah, just a normal school day till 3:00.
Yeah.
And then we used to get picked up by you know, one of the David's drivers for the clubs.
Yeah.
Get driven initially to David Lloyd Hessen, which was quite far.
Yeah.
It's like almost an hour away. Then
Was it? Didn't realise
it
that.
was then, yeah, because that was, you know, Cobham was in Surrey. You know, it is in Surrey.
Yeah.
And with the traffic on the M25, it took quite a way. You know, it was a long journey. And then luckily, soon after we went to the school, or I went to the school, David Lloyd Rains Park opened.
Yeah.
And that was only, you know, 15, 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
So that was great. But yeah, picked up at 3, taken to the tennis, couple hours tennis, also some fitness maybe for an hour as well.
Yeah.
Have dinner at the club.
Yeah.
And we do that, you know, 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. I loved it because it was, you know, even though I was loving my tennis in Tenerife, it was, you know, this was kind of more structured every day with good players. You know, the coaches were good at the time, and they were all, you know, at the time there was Bisham Abbey, the LTA school.
Yes.
So they also had some of the best kids in the country, and so did David Lloyd School. So, you know, the best kids in the country, you were practicing with them every day.
Yeah.
And actually for me, it was great as well, because some of them, or quite a few of them, were older than me as well.
Yeah.
So I was, you know, 10 years old coming in, and I was practicing with, you know, some of the best 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 11, 14.
And did you at that time, because you just said they're the two main schools in the UK for the talented juniors was Bisham and Reeds. Did you feel that kind of competition between the two at the time?
Yeah, big time, because we... You know, David, I think that came more from David that fed down to us, because obviously David has always had a colourful relationship, let's say, with the LTA and been outspoken about the LTA. And you know, at the time, I don't know how he feels now, but at the time, well, he wouldn't feel that way now, because obviously his son, Scott, is the CEO and doing a great job there. But at the time, he was definitely anti the LTA. Yeah. And
the boys felt that?
Yeah, we felt that. Yeah, it was kind of a David Lloyd School. It was kind of not against the LTA, but we were definitely, when we played each other at nationals and stuff like that, it was David Lloyd boys against the LTA boys. Yeah. And I think from memory, I think we got the better of them. I think most of the time.
Well, kind of going into your junior days, from 10 to 14, you were starting to have, and again, I've not said this to you as your brother, but you had some great success. You were starting to win pretty much all the national titles of your age group, and moving forward up to when you were 14, you became the world champion under 14. Were you starting, did you have at that age, I don't remember you losing much, but how was your confidence as a teenager at that age?
Yeah, it was Sky. I'd never experienced losing. Yeah. I was always the best player. Yeah. Definitely in my age group. And also in the year above as well, I would be, you know, either winning nationals or losing the final. I lost in a couple of national finals to Gary Leplat, who was also one of the David Lloyd boys. Yeah. But, I mean, I remember the first time I ever lost to someone of my age was in a GB versus Sweden international match. Yeah. And I think I was 13 at the time.
So that's the first time you'd lost to anybody of your age, was 13?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Didn't know that.
And it was a guy called Bjorn Rehnquist. Mm-hmm. And I lost to him 6-4 in the third. And he was the number 2 Swedish player. Yeah. I'll never forget. And
that was at Seven Oaks.
No, I lost
No.
to him in Sweden.
Oh, was it in Sweden? Sorry.
I remember that very well.
Yeah.
And I lost him 6-4 in the third and didn't play particularly well, but I did lose. But he was the Swedish number 2. And then the next day I had to play Nicholas Timfjord, who was the Swedish number 1 and definitely better than Rehnquist. He was, and I was so, I was just so eager to win that match and play a good match. And I beat him 2-2.
Yeah. Pride was hurt from the day before.
Yeah, I was not happy with with that match. But I guess at the time, I had a good mentality, confidence, and that one defeat, rather than knocking my confidence, it was like, come on, this is ridiculous, and then the next day I would, I killed Timfjord, yeah. So
because when you said winning the Orange Bowl, I think you would have been one of the first British people to do that at that stage. They've obviously had British winners of that World Championships since then, but at that point, I remember there being a lot of focus on you. And again, just as your younger brother, I just remember there being news channels and people wanting to speak to you after you'd become world champion at 14. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that maybe impacted you at the time, having that extra focus and everyone? Because I remember the Ladbrokes were putting bets on you winning Wimbledon as a senior, as a 14-year-old. What was that like, that extra focus you had?
I think at the time it was, IMG as well.
Yeah.
That was kind of something new to obviously me and our parents and stuff like that. And we signed with them, a couple of months after. Yeah. Started getting a couple of deals that were obviously, good money deals for someone of that age at that time. And the attention for that one, because obviously I've noticed as well different players win Orange Bowl since then, but never with the same attention that I got when I won it.
Well, I remember I would have been 8 years of age, and we had BBC and ITV coming into our living room and doing pieces for the 9 o'clock news and stuff. So if I remember that must have been on your mind as well. Yeah,
I mean, I had people coming to the school as well and coming to class and. Yeah, it was quite, I would say it's got a lot for that level of tournament. Yeah. I think if someone wins that now, yes, you'd get an article or two probably. Yeah. If that kind of, and that's it. Yeah. But I think maybe because I was the first one. But I mean, I think in terms of, for me, I think I enjoyed it as well. Yeah. Because in my mind, I was the best player in the world at the time.
You had that confidence.
Yeah, so it wasn't sort of a surprise to me that I was winning that, but maybe the other stuff that was coming with it was that was different. Yeah. And the way obviously other people might treat you as well, because they, at the time I was, when you show up at tournaments and things like that, everyone's looking at you or coming to watch your matches or, extra motivated to play against you and stuff like that. And
well, I felt that as a younger brother, people would come and watch me play because this is his younger brother. So I definitely felt that focus. A lot of this series, we're talking about kind of the transition from juniors into seniors. Having had such huge success as a 14, 15-year-old, how did you find, you'd mentioned to me that you'd started playing some men's tournaments at 15, or you played 1 or 2 men's events at 15. How did you find that transition between the ages of 15 to 18, say?
So I think for me, I was obviously doing exceptionally well at 14 and I'll still doing exceptionally well at 15. I think at 15 I got to the semis. I think I was 15. I still got to the semis of the Australian Open Juniors, which is obviously under 18 with it. So that was, still outstanding level at the time.
Wimbledon semis as well, juniors.
Yeah, I think I was 16 in the March. I won Queen's Juniors. Yeah. Made semis of Junior Wimbledon. And this was, I think I lost to Mark Philippoussis in the semis of Wimbledon Juniors, and he's a year older than me. And then I think up until about 16, I was doing really well. I remember playing World Youth Cup under 16s in New Zealand, and I was the best player there. And I think my confidence was still super high at that point. But I think maybe subconsciously, I don't know if I stopped working as hard or something was kind of maybe still starting to change in terms of, because I was quite a talented player, things were maybe coming a bit easy, right, in terms of my results and the level that I was playing at that time, and maybe didn't take enough pride and care on the actual, not effort, because
the process of
on the process of it, of just getting better and physically as well. I remember sort of not enjoying that side of it too much. Yeah. And at the time, obviously, completely wrongly, I was the best at the time without pushing myself physically very much. So subconsciously, again, you're like, well, how important is this physical stuff? Because I'm still beating everyone. Instead of having the mindset of, there's still so much space for growth and to improve, right? Yeah. I mean, because obviously in the senior game, you do need to be, a great mover. You don't have to be super strong, muscly wise or anything like that, but you do need to be an excellent athlete, and you need to be. Don't have to be fitter than everyone else, but you can't be less fit than everybody else.
Yeah,
and I think the mindset just started slightly shifting then, and I think by the time I got to 18, I'd lost that momentum then by then, and I was starting to play in my, looking back now, the wrong events,
right,
the wrong environment I was in, and I definitely had lost that mindset that I'd had 14 to 16.
I had Greg Rosetsky on, and he actually mentioned as well that when you were at that age, he brought you up at that age as being the high potential player in the UK, and that even someone like Tim Henman was maybe not forgotten, but he was kind of under the radar a little bit. So do you think that kind of not harmed your progress, having such great success at a young age, or would it have been beneficial maybe not to have had all that spotlight?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No, because I think the players that have done exceptionally well, let's say in tennis, your Roger Federers, Andy Murray, Novak Djokovic, Nadal, they've all been exceptional juniors at that age. I don't think it's, someone like Tim is kind of slightly against the grain there, where he didn't do amazing in the juniors. But I think a lot of the players that have done really well, they were also great juniors.
Right, okay, yeah.
I mean, I don't know the exact sort of stats on that, but, someone of my age group would have been also one of the best of my age was someone like a Nicholas Kiefer.
Yeah.
He won the US Open Juniors, and he went on to be top 5 in the world, or Guillermo Cañas, he was, top 10 in the world. So I think sometimes people will knock. I don't think it's the be all and end all. Well, it isn't the be all. It definitely isn't. But just because you're doing well in juniors doesn't mean you're not going to do well as seniors.
Yes. Yeah.
I think the best players have done well in, someone like Alcaraz. They're doing amazingly well in the seniors already at 18. So I can imagine he was pretty good still at 15, 16.
So, as I said, in this series, we're looking at that transition into the senior game, and the conversations that I've had with some people so far, it seems to be a bit of a theme of trying to get through those stages that you have to in the professional game to the top. So, some people nowadays, we have a lot of kids going off to American university, but you made the decision that you're going to go pro from 17, 18. How did you find that those first couple of years playing the futures? Yeah, coming out of the junior game.
Well, first of all, just to comment on the American university option, I love that option for, high 90% of players. I think you have to be kind of doing as well as I was doing, or you have to be doing exceptionally well to not really considered going there. Anytime,
which has changed the perception of it over the last.
Yeah, so it's it used to be, you go there and you're kind of giving up tennis or giving up the dream of being a tenor. Not at all now. You go there at 18, you come out when you're 22 years old. You've had 4 years of physically getting stronger. You've obviously matured there. If you're going to play tennis at 22, means that you're ready to play. Yeah. And I think you're in a better place to get through the futures and the challenger level. Yeah. I obviously didn't do that. I think that if I could rewind for my own career, I would actually play more junior tournaments up until the age of 18 than I did.
Okay.
For the reason to keep, I think if you spend too much time at satellite level, definitely satellite level. I mean, challenger level is, is a decent level, but it's still, you don't want to be stuck there either. But definitely satellite futures level, it's not good because you're surrounding yourself with negative mentality, players that are not professional, and not particularly looking to get to the next stage or have big goals. And you end up, again, not deliberately, but you end up hanging around them. You end up in the same conversations as them. You end up hanging around with them off the court. They're not necessarily, with good habits of being a top pro. And you slowly become one of them. And that happened to me for a little while. And it can be difficult to get out of that.
What was your, from memory, what was your ranking when you were 18, 19? What did you get your ranking up
I think
to?
when I was about 18, 19, I think I would have been around, I don't know, 250, 300 in the world,
So
something
still high.
like that.
That's still not.
Yeah. I think still very high for, I think it's kind of roughly that ranking. But but I think the mindset had kind of changed a bit.
Well, you said that before. You said earlier in your junior days, you felt like you could beat everyone. You didn't have that feeling maybe then at 18, 19, you're saying? Or?
No, I think at that age it started changing a little bit, yes.
Yeah.
And some of the top juniors it just overtook me a little bit as well. I think they progressed their game more than I had. I think then they were starting to become really good athletes as well.
Yeah.
And because I didn't enjoy that side of it as much, they were maybe starting to, it doesn't matter how talented I was, if they were quicker than me, could last longer than me, they would, people that were not as good as me, I would end up in tough matches against them. And if it was, if there was players of a similar tennis level as me, but they were better athletes, they were usually going to win, right? I mean, and for me, I was just to fast forward a little bit, slightly ahead of that, the Davis Cup match against Zimbabwe for me was a big blow.
I remember,
with a match that I was never in the squad. The week before the tie, I was never in the squad, and I ended up playing the match. I think I was about 280 in the world at the time.
Yeah,
and that match just knocked my confidence a lot. It was obviously on TV. It was kind of a pretty packed, Davis Cup atmosphere in Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
I lost in 4 sets, but it was a decent match from my memory. And then I played Byron, who was 30 in the world.
Yeah.
And he was, he was a proper pro and wouldn't give any points away. And he was obviously clearly better than me at the time. And I froze and I got whacked in that match. And I think that humiliation of that match really affected me a lot.
Did it?
And my confidence.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of the first time like, whoa. It was a shock that could happen.
Yeah.
And that on top of, like I say, at that time, it was just starting to slip away from me anyway. And I think that was a bit of a sort of nail in the coffin in terms of my mindset. And I didn't have anyone at the time to, put their arm around me maybe and let me know it's okay, or put it into perspective, because obviously my mind was going overworking itself on how I'd let everyone down. I wasn't good enough, and that kind of affected me for a long time, really.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember at that time, there was a massive hunger in the British press for, a superstar tennis player at the time. So there was feels like not more focus because you've got social media now, but with the one or two channels that were showing it in the newspapers, there was a big focus on those matches. So I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough weekend, yeah. And it was, like I say, I don't think it's I think that's why it's important as well. I'm sure we'll talk about later about football, but I think for the Man United kind of top juniors that were coming through years ago, your Giggs and Scholes and Beckham and the Nevilles and all these guys, I do remember, seeing and reading that Ferguson was really careful on when to put them in for matches.
Yes.
He would put them in maybe, 20 minutes to go at home when they're 3-0 up already against someone, or they would kind of they weren't sort of thrown into the deep end to play Liverpool away in their first ever debut at 18 years old kind of thing. It was, and I think that's the same for tennis when people are giving out wild cards and Davis Cup matches. I think it's you got to be careful of when you put people in those positions because it can be great because it can make someone, if you win a match like that, obviously the confidence you get from it is huge, but you've got to be ready. And I don't think, I wasn't ready. And it didn't help at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had a excellent career. You actually got the world record for the most consecutive Wimbledon appearances with 23 years in a row, which is pretty frightening statistic when you hear it. So excellent long career. You ended up kind of focusing on doubles towards the end of your 20s, which kind of extended your career. What was the thought process behind kind of moving your focus from singles to doubles?
I mean, honestly, I think because of the singles, it was actually another Davis Cup match. I mean,
Davis Cup doesn't sound
Davis Cup wasn't kind to me. Okay. But it was another Davis Cup match where Israel at home and played doubles with Andy.
Yeah,
Eastbourne, and we lost 6-4 in the fifth. In actually a pretty good doubles match against Ehrlich and Ram, 4-1 up in the fifth, lost that one. And I lost in 5 sets as well of the singles.
Yes.
I think I was 2 sets down. Then I got back to I won the third, won the fourth. Then it was a breakup early in the fifth and lost the match.
Yeah.
And again, I think that was the fight. Again, that was the confirmation in my mind.
You're late 20s?
I think I'm late 20s, yeah. I'd actually qualified 1 round at Wimbledon that year.
Yeah.
So I was actually playing, not bad. And again, I regret stopping singles then, to be honest, because I was actually playing, not bad. I was playing decent. Yeah. But I did lose that match. But in my mind, I was like, I'm not, I don't have it for, to win these kind of matches. Again. Yeah, kind of kicked in, and that was me finished for singles.
Yeah.
So then I started playing doubles.
Yeah, yeah. And then we're kind of moving forward now towards the end of your doubles career. You then started moving into the coaching. You were playing doubles with Gilles Muller, is that right?
Yeah, at the end I was playing a bit of doubles with Gilles, and actually, like I say, I wasn't enjoying playing that much. The doubles. Yeah. And Gilles was, actually, he was injured. He was injured for a period of time, and he just got in touch with me. Someone that I always got on really well with, Gilles.
Yeah, great guy.
And he asked me to coach him. He'd been injured for I can't remember, 6 months, a year, quite not a great injury. And he said, look, Jamie, I'm going to try and play. I'm not sure if I can play, to be honest, but I want to give it a go for 6 months. And he knew I wasn't enjoying it in the doubles, so he asked me if I wanted to help.
Yeah.
So, I did that. I kind of kept playing doubles with him.
Yeah.
But with the agreement that I was coaching him as well.
And sorry, I'm going to jump in. Had you thought about coaching before, like towards the end of your tennis career? Had you thought, I'm going to go into coaching?
No, definitely not, because I was, I'm mid-30s at this point, and I've been traveling around for forever. Yeah. 20 years, 15, 20 years, and do I want to keep traveling around? The answer was no. But it's just the way it happened. He like I say, got in touch with me, and it went well. Well, my doubles wasn't going that, we were winning some matches, but I wasn't really enjoying that side of it. I was really enjoying actually helping him.
Yeah.
Going back to that love for singles, even though I wasn't, nothing's ever the same as playing, but I was still getting some enjoyment from helping him and, get better, because he was down on the floor, really. I think he was down to 450. And then, after a couple of years, he ended up being, I think, 30 in the world, which was great. And that was really fun. I enjoyed it. One, because he's a great guy, got on well with him. And he got himself to a high ranking for him, was his best ranking at the time. And that was a lot of fun. Yeah, and enjoyed that. And in the meantime, I sort of gave up the doubles. Yeah.
Well, you might downplay it a little bit, but for somebody stepping into a coaching role, in the first 2 years of your coaching, I think you were named ATP Coach of the Year, thanks to Gilles' big jump in ranking at that time. So that's quite a big amount of success for an early coaching career. At this point now, are you thinking, yeah, this is me, I'm a coach on the tour?
I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but yeah, I mean, it was clear that the results were going well.
Yeah.
And I think that the most difficult thing at the time, just going into coaching, because at the time you just go straight in. You haven't done any courses or anything. You're just kind of going in, and you're kind of learning on the job, really, which is another topic that should that be allowed? It should be more of, trained up and stuff like that. But I've always kind of fancied myself in someone that reads the game well and understands how someone can play better and use their strengths better. So I was helping him a lot with how he should be playing, and and thankfully results got, he did really well. He won a bunch of challenges and gradually got himself up the rankings, and it was fun.
So after a couple of years of really good success, getting Gilles back up from 430 to top 30, you then moved on to another player, Andy Murray. How did that come about, that opportunity to start coaching him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'd known Andy for a long time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was with Gilles at the time, so it was a tough, because so close with Gilles as well, but to be with a British player, someone I knew so well, and obviously such a great player, and I think he was ranked number 2 at the time.
So you're moving into number 2 in the world.
Yeah, and one of my feelings always as a coach has been, can you make the player that you're coaching better?
Yeah.
Or can you help them achieve things that they haven't achieved before? Which of course was easier when you're starting with someone like Gilles Muller. Or other players, someone like Andy that's already pretty close to the top. It's clearly harder. But one of those things is to get to number 1 in the world, which he did, which was great. But yeah, it was fun. It was great fun. I learned a lot from him, and it was
What did you learn from Andy?
I think the detail that everything was, from coaching Gilles, the way we were working with Gilles in terms of the attention to small things in his preparation, or his, the way he analyzed trips or events, how training blocks were really planned, how to work with a bigger team, with doctor, physical trainer, physio, psychologist, and the nutrition side of it. There was so much more that was happening in that team than someone like a Gilles Muller at the time. And something that I learned a lot from.
2016 was a fantastic year for your coaching with Andy. He won his second Wimbledon and then had a crazy run to become number one in the world. Can you talk to us a little bit about those few months? I mean, he had such amazing success, but what was that like, those few months?
Yeah, incredible year. I mean, again, I loved when he did things that he hadn't won before. Mm-hmm. Wimbledon's the number one event for sure, of course, of the year, and the biggest by far. But, I loved it when he won Italian Open. Yeah. When he won the ATP finals at the end of the year, when he won Paris-Bercy Master Series, those things he hadn't won before. Yeah. And that for me I loved that. That was great. He won the Olympics as well that year, but he'd won that already before. There were huge achievements, but for me personally, I loved it when he did new things. Even in 2017 when he won Dubai, I loved that. But I think what I remember from that year was the intensity of it, was especially in the second half of the year when there was kind of, the race was on a little bit for him to try and get to number one, and definitely to finish number one. It obviously went down to the last match.
It was crazy.
But it was long days. It was, it was high pressure. The way we prepared, because he was playing matches almost every day because he was winning all the tournaments, and it was preparing for each opponent, preparing for the days off, all the practices. It was, and also try and obviously keep the team as calm, and especially him, because obviously at times, even someone like him would get anxious and get nervous, and for how to deal with those situations was important. And I think as a team, I think we did that really well.
And then obviously he had some injuries after that. How tough would that have been? Those couple of years where he had his hip replacement. How difficult was that period?
Yeah, amazingly difficult for obviously for him. Yeah, can't imagine what it must have been like for him, but for the whole team as well, because it was very unique situation where he had such a bad injury at ranked number one in the world.
Yeah, don't think that's ever happened.
No, I think if you look at the best athletes in the world, it doesn't matter what sport it is. Normally, there's a gradual decline, I would say, when there's maybe a couple of little niggles, or you get a little bit slower, or you've lost your edge a little bit. But it's not like him where he was number one and then he couldn't play tennis.
Yeah, horrible for him to deal with that. Yeah. And now moving on, you're currently with Jack Draper. We had James Trotman on the podcast a couple of episodes ago, and he was talking to us a little bit about how special of a talent Jack is. You've now been with him a few months. You've just come back from the American hard courts. How's that been? Because he also had to come back from an injury the last 6 or so months.
Yeah. So again, super great guy. Yeah. Really lucky to be with someone that's so nice. Great that he's local to me as well. That helps a lot.
Another Reeds boy.
Yeah. Back to Reeds boy. Yeah. Mm. And but also a tough time to start with him as well because of the injury that he'd already had, for some months. And yeah, it's difficult to start at that point because obviously their rankings going down a little bit, and they're not playing, and they're not able to train normally. So it's again, there's a lot of managing of the training and the team and loads and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean he's excellent player. Different to other players that I've coached, but when he's playing well, his tennis is fantastic. Yeah, so
the few times I've met him, he's super hardworking as well. He was definitely leaving it all out there. Well, good. That's an excellent tennis journey. Thanks for that. We're going to move now on to your Beyond Tennis, which you've listed as football. I'm a Millwall fan. You're a Man United fan. So I think today we'll just talk about our shared love of Real Madrid.
Okay.
Yeah. So. I was watching a bit of the football coverage actually a couple of days ago, and something that came to my mind. There's a lot of focus when you're watching some of this football coverage of the coach, the manager, the tactics that they use, which kind of led me to in the tennis world. What would you do? You see some similarities within coaching tennis and coaching football or managing football?
Do you know what I think they should do for tennis coaches? And I felt this for a little while, is like in football, the manager, does, for example, media before the match and after the match.
Yes.
I do think that football, managers, coaches, whatever you want to call them, they do, it's more of a, they're more known and they're more important to the media, I guess, because they have more access and they do press conferences. And in tennis, it doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
And I think tennis is missing a bit of a trick there.
Well, as I said, in this football coverage, I was watching Clarence Seedorf talking, and there was maybe 15, 20 minutes, and they're just focusing purely on the manager and the coach. And I was just wondering, do you think that will ever be the case in tennis where so much focus is placed on the coaching staff?
Well, I think that needs to come from the tournaments.
Right.
I think the tournaments have to make a rule that if a coach is required for an interview, that they can do it.
Yeah.
And I think that, I think that would just help a lot. I think and a lot of the players, they have, an hour of media to do or stars program, what they call on the men's tour. And they don't want to, they don't really ever want to do it.
Yeah.
And I think you could cut down a bit of the time that the players do and actually just give, if they have to do an hour, players do 40 minutes, obviously, because they're the main show, but also give another 20 minutes to the coach to do media stuff. And I think it would improve the coaching industry, to be honest, loads.
Because I see now you're allowed to coach from the side of the court in tennis. In football, there obviously the manager's barking orders for 90 minutes. Do you think that there's going to be so much focus on tennis coaches? Or should there be as much focus on the tennis coaches as there are on the managers?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, the difference with the tennis coaching is that you're not allowed to have a conversation. Yeah. You're allowed to throw in, 1, 2, 3, 4 words as a I don't know what you want to call it, like a bit of advice or guidance or whatever. But you can't have a full-on chat,
right,
with the player.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in Australia the coaches, they have the coach box on the court.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
I quite like the look of that as a fan. Yeah,
yeah, I think it's good, and I think, and have it mic'd up and let people listen to what I think is great TV. I think when I'm watching TV, if I'm in a hotel room and watching tennis, and I can hear what the coach is saying to the player, to me that's really interesting. I love it. So I think more should be made of that, and I think, like I say, you've got to do more for the coaches in the media as well.
Yeah. And as a football manager, what type of football manager would you be? And I'm talking about the clothes you choose to wear. Would you be a tracksuit manager? Would you be suit and tie? Who would you be?
I think suit. I think I like the suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Suit. Yeah. Jacket. I mean, maybe not a tie, but.
And then I remember you saying a story
Pep
about
Guardiola. I mean, he
kind of changes.
He changes around. Yeah.
But I remember you telling me a story about when you were with Gilles Muller, and you were talking about the coach's attire.
Yeah, I remember with Gilles, it never actually happened, but I remember when he was doing the challenges and he was kind of gradually coming up the challenges, and then he played qualies at Wimbledon, then he qualified, and we had a bit of a joke that if he got onto centre court and played Roger Federer on the centre court, that I would be for that match I'm showing up in a suit.
Which is not the done thing, really.
Yeah. And then he qualified, won a round, and played Roger Federer.
Remember,
on centre court. So I was like, this has got my suit coming on now. Yeah. But he didn't.
Well, I think if you'd have worn your suit and tie to coach on centre court, I'm not sure if you would have had Andy Murray asking you to be his coach after that.
I don't know.
To be honest.
But I mean, I think Jim Courier did that in Davis Cup for the States. Yeah, I liked it, but he got a lot of criticism. But I liked it. Why not?
Why not? Yeah. Yeah, so Madrid, that was obviously our dad's from Madrid, so that's kind of our shared club. You started supporting them, I remember when you were young. I remember you going off to Reeds as a 10-year-old with your lunchbox and all the Real Madrid team written all over it. So who are the key players for your Real Madrid days that you admired?
Real Madrid, they've had some amazing players. I mean, I think the best players, Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, and Zidane. I mean, I think there's stuff to beat those. I mean... Yeah. There's been some amazing players. Redondo.
Yeah, he was my guy, Redondo.
Raul. Yeah, they're not struggled for. I mean, they've had some English players there, haven't they?
Yeah,
Beckham, Owen.
Beckham and Owen. Well, good. Well, thanks very much. That is your Beyond Tennis experience. You're not done yet, though. So, yeah, we're going to now move on to your match tiebreak, which is same questions I give all the guests. I've had some interesting answers. But whatever comes to your mind first, we'll go from there. You ready?
Yeah, that's it.
Good. Okay, number one. Who is the greatest tennis player of all time?
Novak Djokovic.
Novak Djokovic. Very good. Number two. Who is your favourite tennis player of all time?
Am I allowed to ask the question of what you mean by that or not? Or just
who's your favourite? So if you could only watch one player play tomorrow, who is that?
Roger Federer.
Roger Federer, yeah. Why?
Well, you're asking me who's my favorite. I mean, just the best, most beautiful to watch and just silky smooth, making it look easy, hitting shots that not many other players can hit. There's so much to like about it, yeah.
Yeah. Number three, what is your favourite shot to hit?
Backhand volley.
Backhand volley.
Very easy. Very easy shot.
It's not for everybody. Number four, who is the best player to not win a Grand Slam?
Marcelo Rios.
That's been a good answer from a few people. Good. Okay. Who's the best non-tennis player you've heard of? So that is somebody that's either a celebrity or some in another field that you've heard is the best tennis player.
Diego Forlan.
Diego Forlan, yes. Yeah, I think he won a seniors event recently.
I think he played a futures.
Did he?
Yeah, he can play. He can, because I think he used to play junior tennis in 12s, 14s, 16s. He was decent, yeah. I've seen him play on videos. He looks decent.
He looks decent. Just while it's on my mind, actually, that Mastantuono used to be a very good junior tennis player, apparently, the new Real Madrid player. I think he played.
So Gareth Bale hitting some balls.
Was he right?
Yeah, he looked good. But Diego Forlan, can actually play matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good.
Good. Who's your dream doubles partner?
Well, I mean, they're different age, but I think the best doubles player ever is John McEnroe.
John McEnroe.
Yeah, he's had it. Yeah, he made things pretty easy for everyone.
Okay, next one. What is one rule in tennis that you'd change tomorrow? What is one rule in tennis that you'd change tomorrow?
I mean, maybe one serve. Maybe one serve.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe one serve.
Okay.
I need to think of that a bit.
I think about it. Okay, no worries. Who would play you in a film about yourself?
Or someone that looks a bit looks a bit like me.
Who would you like? The Jamie Delgado biopic is out. Who's playing you?
Oh, goodness gracious. He doesn't look anything like me, but Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel!
Yeah.
Wow.
He doesn't look anything like me. But
yeah, same muscles.
Yeah.
Good. Well, that's your match tiebreak. Thanks for that. Finally, we're going to finish off on a quiz that I've designed. Quite fun for me, actually. I was up last night looking through your tennis achievements, and I've come put together a bit of a quiz that's related to a lot of your tennis playing and coaching days. Okay. So we'll give this one a go. Okay. So, number one, you played Wimbledon a record 23 consecutive years between 1992 and 2014. Can you tell me the first player that you ever played at Wimbledon in the juniors in 1992?
Bjorn Jakob.
That's a great memory because that's
yeah, I remember that match.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that was your first. How old would you be?
I was 15, and I went onto the court to warm up for the match on the court in my running shoes. I was so nervous. And the umpire said, look, change your shoes. I didn't realise I didn't have grass court shoes on.
That was your first Wimbledon experience.
Bjorn Jakob, yeah. He was 18, huge guy, got totally overpowered, yeah. But that was my first match.
So that was your first ever match at Wimbledon. Now, also the last person that you played in a main draw doubles match in 2014. So who's the last person or pair that you played in 2014?
That was, I think I played with Gilles Muller there, and we lost to Jamie Murray, second round, and John Pearce.
Very good. That is true. 2 out of 2. Well done. Number 3, you were coaching Andy Murray when he won Wimbledon in 2016. Who did he beat in the semi-final, and what was the score?
Thomas Berdych, 6-3, 6-3, 6-3.
You're on fire here. You're doing better than everyone so far. Yeah, that's correct as well. That's good. James Trotman was nowhere near on this one. Number 4, we spoke about it a bit earlier, but you lost to Andre Agassi 2 times on centre court. Can you tell me the score in the 2003 match? Can you tell me the score between you and Agassi in the 2003 match?
6-2, 6-4, 6-3?
No.
The 4-set match. Okay, so that was 6-4. Agassi won 6-4, 6-love, 4-6. No, 6-4, 6-love, 5-7, 6-4.
On the nose, you're on fire here. Yeah, that's you didn't even miss a game. Yeah, 4-6, love 6, 7-5, 4-6. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 more. Again, going back to that crazy year of 2016. How many consecutive matches did Andy Murray win after the US Open to finally reach world number 1?
27?
It's 23. So he had 23 wins and 2 walkovers.
Oh, you didn't count the walkovers?
Yeah, so 23 wins plus 2 walkovers,
Okay,
so that'd be 25.
Okay.
So you got that one. Ooh, close though, not bad. That was a crazy run.
Yeah.
Thinking about that.
Crazy run. Yeah.
He beat everyone. I mean,
Yeah. Paris was the toughest week there. Everyone was playing so well against him, and he just kept winning.
Kept winning.
Yeah.
And his body must have been in pieces.
I don't remember it being bad there in Paris, but I do remember that week everyone was. I mean, he played final Isner. He was playing amazing match. I mean, serving crazy, and then he played also Verdasco played amazing. Berdych played. Everyone was playing amazing against him, but he still kept winning.
Crazy, yeah. Great work. Okay, last one. Can you name me the 4 men's semi-finalists at Wimbledon the year you made your debut in 1992? So this is going to be a tough one, but 4 men's semi-finalists in your debut year at Wimbledon in 92.
The year I played the juniors, who in the seniors.
In the seniors, yeah. So who are the men's semi-finalists?
Andre Agassi, John McEnroe, Goran Ivanisevic, and Goran beat. Can't remember who he beat. Goran in the semis.
That's amazing memory so far, but yeah, you're missing one.
Goran beat someone like, I'm going to have a guess at Todd Martin.
So Agassi won. He beat Ivanisevic, so you're correct with that.
Yeah, he beat McEnroe in the semis.
McEnroe in the semis, and the other semi-finalist was actually Pete Sampras.
Not bad.
Very good. I tell you what,
Not bad.
that's significantly better than pretty much everyone we've had over the last few weeks.
I know my stuff.
Yeah, it's decent. It's decent. Thank you very much. You're done.
Cheers, Johnny.
And thanks to everyone for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, helps the channel, all of that stuff. Vamos.